Welcome to the Airway First podcast. I'm your host, Chloe Appleberry. This show is dedicated to exploring the topic of airway disorders in children and the critical need for early detection and awareness. I was able to sit down with the founder of the Children's Airway First Foundation, Ms. Candy Sparks. Candy Sparks is a trailblazer, and she's also the author of the impactful book, Mom Save My Brain, in which she shares her powerful story of her daughter, Savvy's misdiagnosed airway disorder. It was a journey that was marked by fear, uncertainty, and resilience. Having experienced firsthand the anguish of watching her own child endure an undiagnosed condition, she brings a deeply personal perspective to our conversation. She told us a little bit about her journey. Please listen.
Well, I want everyone to know that when this first happened, I was clueless, like most people. Yeah. I knew nothing about airway and sleep disorders. Yet, we have 5 children and 10 grandchildren, and 5 out of the 15 have these airway and sleep problems that have really impacted their lives in ways we could never have imagined. And along this journey, we have met some of the best providers, dentists, doctors, speech-language pathologists, myofunctional therapists, ENTs, pulmonologists, neurologists, from Mayo Clinic Rochester to Dallas, Texas, where the #1 maxillofacial surgeon in the world operates, Dr. Larry Wolford. And we've met all of these specialists in our journey to help all our kids.
The Children's Airway First Foundation was founded to guide families through the uncertainty of caring for children with airway challenges. It was inspired by a deep commitment to helping others avoid the pain of a late diagnosis. Candy shares more about her personal odyssey and the mission that drives her.
Well, first of all, Chloe, I have a lot of experience in public health.
Okay.
And in the 1980s, I did a pilot program called a Smoke-Free Generation. And the Surgeon General at that time was C. Everett Koop.
Okay.
And his whole focus was on dramatically reducing the startup of smoking among kids and reducing, of course, adult smoking. And so I got the opportunity to be the executive director of that program. It comes out of Sweden. They've had incredible success with it, reduced the startup by over 50%. So they had ABBA and Bjorn Borg and all these famous Swedes on posters everywhere. They had a curriculum. They had a whole program. And we learned a lot about it. So I said, okay, let me ask the kids, 450,000 of them, if they could pick anybody, who would be their #1 celebrity cool guy?
Yeah.
Cool woman. And they said, Prince. No problem. Prince is a Minnesotan. This is cool. So I start asking questions. Where does his mom work? How can I get him? How can I corner her? All these things. And he's like, Mom, he moved out years ago. Anyway.
He's doing things right now.
So I managed to get a hold of his agent, who's in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And went to see his agent and told him what we wanted to do. And he said, okay, he's in France right now making Under the Cherry Moon, and he's not in a good mood. But if he has a good day, I'll ask him.
Okay.
Because he doesn't smoke. He may do other things, but he does not smoke. And he doesn't like it. So, okay. 6 weeks later, I get a call. I'm going to make your day. He said yes. And by the way, your #1 ad agency is going to have the rights to create whatever they like from Purple Rain.
That is amazing.
And the voiceover is Prince, who says, sometimes when you don't follow the crowd follows you. A smoke-free generation. You can be part of it too.
Wow.
Posters everywhere. You can't even turn around anywhere in Minnesota without seeing the Cosby kids who joined as well. And of course, our dear Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Yeah.
And we had so many celebrities involved. Our governor's a world wrestling dude. And Larry Hagman from Dallas. We had all kinds of people involved. Mayo Clinic Rochester agreed to create our curriculum with the University of Minnesota Epidemiology Department for 450,000 kids. We had tens of thousands of kids in the Metrodome for concerts and all kinds of stuff. Within 18 months, we dropped the startup of smoking by over 50%. And that continued for years until the demographics started changing in the state of Minnesota, and then more smokers were coming in.
Wow.
But it carried out from a 32% average down to a 16, 17% average of smokers. So one of the best. And with that experience, I thought, I want to do this for Airway. I don't want anybody else to go through this, hell.
Yeah.
I don't want children to have to experience this.
At the age of 50, Candy welcomed her daughter, Savvy, into the world. Despite receiving care from highly respected medical experts, Savvy's airway disorder remained unnoticed for years, a situation that unfortunately reflects a widespread problem among children. This experience underscores why CAF is devoted to promoting greater awareness and early identification of airway challenges.
My 23-year-old daughter, Savvy, was born with an airway and sleep problem. She was born in a Johns Hopkins hospital called Sibley in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
No, and about a half an hour later, they said she's 8 pounds, 9 ounces. She's tall. She's doing great. Here you go, Mom. And I know you're going to breastfeed, so have at it.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, when I look at her, the distance between the bottom of her nose and the top of her upper lip is shorter than I have ever seen.
Interesting.
Because I have 3 older sons, and I had not noticed any of that before. So, but she nursed fine. In fact, I'm going to tell you more about this later. I nursed her for 32 months, only because I'm so lazy and travel all the time that I didn't want to wash bottles and do all of that. And I retired from my job at 50 because I was working on 5 continents and said, well, I really can't do that and raise this new little baby girl. So I was home with her and I was enjoying all the great things. And, we traveled from coast to coast seeing other kids.
We asked Candy, when did she first become concerned about Savvy?
When did we notice? I have to tell you, this kid was like the smartest kid in the world.
Yeah.
And her dad, I really look up to him because he's an MIT guy.
Right.
And so I'm thinking,
smarts runs in the family.
Oh my gosh. So she's doing everything early. And then when she's about 3, it's pointed out to me, do you know that she just only breathes through her mouth? That she's not able to breathe through her nose? And they go, what does that mean? And, well, she seems to be doing fine, but let's take an eye and watch that. Okay, at 6, she's running a race. She collapses. I know now that she collapsed because her airway collapsed.
Right.
So we went to the pulmonologist, we went to the cardiologist, and they said, it looks like they function fine, but nobody was actually looking at the signs. She had a very high upper palate, and the upper palate is the roof of the mouth, but it's the floor of the nasal cavity. So that upper palate is so high, she cannot breathe through her nose. Then we also found out that she has a tongue tie. And that means that the lower jaw, the mandible, is stuck, and that tongue is tied down to that floor of the mouth.
Yeah.
So now the tongue is back in the airway of the oral airway. So she's not getting a whole lot breathing through her mouth, and she definitely cannot breathe through her nose.
She can't breathe.
She can't breathe. And she's not sleeping well.
Yeah.
So, but this is the kicker. Years later, I'm at Mayo Clinic, Rochester, with one of the top sleep medicine neurologists in the world, Dr. Suresh Kadagal. And I say, how is it that Savvy is very intelligent? And he says, the myelin. I go, the myelin? He goes, yeah, the sheath around the neurons in the brain. You breastfed her for 32 months, and that means she has some of the fastest neural synapses in the world. Because most people in developing countries and so on usually don't go beyond 2 years.
Yeah.
So she has, the only way you get myelin is through breast milk. Through breast milk. I knew none of this.
The superpowers of breastfeeding, right?
Oh my goodness. But she has this capability due to the myelin.
Airway disorders affect children in a variety of ways, often interfering with their ability to breathe, eat, sleep, and concentrate, leading to challenges such as poor growth, behavioral problems, learning difficulties, mood changes, and even long-term issues like depression and cardiovascular complications. Candy describes how these issues impacted Savvy, limiting her ability to participate fully at school, affecting her memory and mood, and eventually requiring advanced treatment.
At 8 years old, we moved to Austin, Texas, and she started a new school. And the kids started laughing at her because she had this big class 2 malocclusion. It's also called a severe class 2 malocclusion. And if you have that, it cannot correct itself. It will impair your breathing. It will impair your sleep. You will not be able to breathe through your nose. So they're laughing at her going, wow, look at that big teeth hanging out there. And we took her to one of the top orthodontists in that area. And he said, you know, I can give her a nice smile, but I can see that she's going to need what's called MMA, which is mandibular maxillary surgery. They bring it forward and change it up so you can breathe better. But it's usually not done until they're 17. Okay. So, but let's give her a nice smile in the meantime.
Yeah.
But he did what was the gold standard at that time. He put on the braces. He put in an upper palate expander, tried to widen that. And what happened is he's pushing it back. That was the gold standard, the retractive orthodontics. What needs to happen with children with this disorder is it has to come forward. It has to open up the airway. And the upper palate has to be smoothed out into a U shape, taken down from that high V shape, so that the child can breathe through their nose. And I'm going to talk about this. Nose breathing is everything. It gets you the maximum oxygen you need to your brain. It provides nitric oxide to your immune system, which is critical for your development and your body. And it also allows you to get into REM sleep, which is restorative. which means you're going to have a better memory. It means you're not going to do damage because you're not getting enough oxygen to your prefrontal lobe.
Mm-hmm.
It means that you are going to have a much healthier future.
Yeah.
So here we're doing the opposite. We're pushing it all back and making it more difficult. What happens? She goes to school. She's looking a little better, but she starts to jump rope in her PE class and collapses.
How terrifying.
She's going to run a relay race. About 5 steps into it, she collapses. She can no longer walk across the campus and get there to the next class with her friends. They have to give her a key card to get in by herself and climb the stairs by herself because she takes them slowly. What the heck has happened?
What is going on?
Then the teacher calls me and says, I don't know what's going on with Savvy, but she didn't turn in her math homework. Why isn't she turning in her homework? And so I say, I'm like, Savvy, what's going on? You didn't turn in your math homework. And she goes, I don't know. I feel like my body's rotting. I feel like I've lost my memory. I can't remember. And it put it in this special folder. I did it. It was ready. But I didn't remember to put it in his basket.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And then another teacher, language arts, says to her, hey, where's your red pen? I told you to bring a red pen. You're probably not college material savvy. You're forgetting everything.
Yeah.
What? This is the kid who wanted to tour MIT when she was 7.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, what is going on?
Yeah.
So we take her to Texas Children's down in Houston to the top pulmonologists in the world.
Right.
They kept the boy in the bubble alive for 12 years at Texas Children's. Okay, I'm thinking they're going to know everything. Oh my goodness.
They're here to save
They're
the
going to know
day.
everything. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So they run her through all these tests, and several of the doctors came in, looked at her, asked her questions, listened carefully, and then they said, she's a mystery. But do you know that all the signs were there? And I want every doctor to hear this. I want every parent to hear this because the signs were there.
Yeah.
But they didn't know to look for them. So had they looked, they would see that the sides of her tongue were scalloped because she no longer had room for her tongue.
Yeah.
And that tongue then has to go down the pharynx, the opening in the back of your mouth. And that expansion of the upper airway didn't really take place. She's still a mouth breather.
Yeah.
With a much smaller oral airway and still not able to use her nose. So what's going on? She's losing her frontal lobe capability and executive function. She's losing memory in her gray matter.
Some in the medical community have begun to investigate the reasons why these airway disorders in children are so frequently missed.
By the way, I met a doctor from Stanford, one of the top in the world, Dr. Liu. And he said, you know what? I do surgery on these cases. I'm an ENT and a DMD. And I get them when they're about 17. In fact, I don't want to see them before that because they're still growing. And then I look as I'm doing that surgery and I see all the lost opportunity.
Yeah.
That this child could have been treated at birth as a toddler in preschool and went to school ready with a healthy airway, with healthy sleep to learn and do their best and achieve the most they can achieve.
Profound.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
He said, so now guess what I focus on? I go, what do you focus on, Stanley? And he said 0 to 2.
0 to 2.
0 to 2.
Yeah.
We have to identify them at birth. All the signs for savvy were there.
They're already there.
At birth.
Yeah.
We could have started managing that and changing her airway as a toddler as a preschooler.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do.
Next, Candy reflects on a profoundly challenging period in her story. Please be aware that some of the details that she shares may be disturbing for some viewers.
The worst possible thing. At 12 years old, I go up to her room after she's at school, and I'm looking for something, and I find a note on her nightstand. It's a suicide note.
Oh my goodness.
And I call a friend of mine who actually works at Savvy School as the school psychologist.
Okay.
And I say, oh my God, what should I do? And she says, I want all parents to know this if you run into this.
Yeah.
I want you to write her a love letter.
A love letter.
And I want you to not miss a beat. Everything you can possibly think of.
Yeah.
About how much you love Savvy. So I did. And I also wrote about, I know you're struggling. And that these are some of the issues that you're facing, not only with your airway, but also as a new junior high student who's having trouble connecting with friends because she can't even walk across campus.
And
So
also
she's-
just
yeah,
normal parts of being in junior high too.
exactly.
It's a scary time. And then also adding that on as well. It's
And
just
the social pressures, the different social changes,
right.
all of those pieces. And so I write her this letter, and she gets home and reads it, and she says, you do understand. You do know.
Yeah.
That was a turning point.
Yeah. Thanks to their unwavering persistence, the Sparks family ultimately received the answers that they had been searching for. Candy shares details about the treatments that Savvy underwent and how these interventions gave her a renewed opportunity for a healthier life.
And he puts her in the chair. She opens up her mouth and he says, oh my God, I don't know how she breathes. She is at least 60% blocked.
Wow.
At least.
Yeah.
You need to get to Dr. Hang right now. So we call Dr. Hang and he says, you need to see a myofunctional therapist first. See if there's anything we can do non-surgically before we start down that path.
Yeah.
So we go to one of the most famous myofunctional therapists who's known all over the world, Joy Moeller. She's in Los Angeles. She gives her what's called a Melanpotty test. And you get a score from 1 to 4. 4 is the worst, like you're totally blocked. And she says, she's between a 3 and 4. There's nothing I can do for her with myofunctional therapy at this point. She must have surgery. Bill Hang will introduce you to Dr. Larry Wolford.
Okay.
He's probably the only one in the world who has the ability to operate on her. She'll be 13 at that time because it'll take 6 months just to prepare her. On December 15th, 2015, Savvy had MMA surgery, also known as orthognathic surgery.
Okay.
There's a lot of words for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, and here's an amazing thing. So she's changed schools to the Austin Performing Arts School because she loves to sing. So within 3 weeks following this huge surgery that completely changes her airway, and she actually looks even better, even more gorgeous.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks later, she's sitting on the curb at her school waiting to go in. She can breathe through her nose for the first time in her entire life. She can walk more than a block or two.
Wow.
For the first time since she was 8 years old. She can keep up with her friends. In fact, they love to walk over to the high school a few blocks away after school and hang out and get together. So
it's like a second chance.
She now has a social life.
Right.
Because she can keep up. And she's so happy and excited. And it takes more time to get used to stamina issues.
Yeah.
She's nominated by her 8th grade teacher to do the pre-med summer camp at Dell Medical School.
Yeah, because she's also a genius too, by the way. She's one of the smartest people
I know.
Myelin. Yeah,
it's the myelin.
Very smart, yeah.
So she gets to go to that. And she's sitting in the back of the room like the hostile little girl. And like I can just imagine this because the professor told me this. And he looks at her and he says, "You look like you have something on your mind, Savvy." And she goes, "I do. You doctors got my diagnosis wrong from the day I was born until just a few months ago when I had MMA surgery.
Yeah.
And I went through a terrible time. So if you're not going to teach us how to get diagnostics right, this is a waste of my time."
Thank you so much for tuning into our podcast. We greatly appreciate your support of CAF's mission to raise awareness about pediatric airway disorders and their Fix by 6 initiative. If you notice any signs of airway disorders in your child or in a child that you know, please do not hesitate to reach out to your pediatrician for guidance and support. For more information and helpful resources, be sure to visit our website at children'sairwayfirst.org. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Until then, take a deep breath, stay informed, and stay inspired.
I want every parent in the world to know that they should be looking for this. They should know the signs. Their doctor should know the signs. Their midwives, everybody.
Yeah.
To get this fixed as early as possible.